So, the government dump, for those of you new to the chat, is where I follow different government entities on Twitter to see what they're up to. And in this case, the Department of State Pompeo traveled to New York City to participate in UNSC debate on challenges to peace and security in the Middle East and the administration's support for multilateral solutions. And on that, let me see here. Yay, pretty picture. All right, summary. U.S. Secretary of State Michael R. Pompeo traveled to New York on August 20th to participate in the UN Security Council debate hosted by the Polish mission to the United Nations on challenges to peace and security in the Middle East and the administration's support for multilateral solutions. The Secretary also met with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, I don't know how to say that last one, so I just covered all three and crossing my fingers in hopes one of them's right, on the margins of the event. So here's his itinerary. So he met with the Serbian president. He's also going to be meeting with the Polish foreign minister. He's very, very busy. Also, let me see, council session on Middle East peace. So his whole day is full today. But, I mean, Pompeo's always really, really been busy. So, you know, he's keeping busy. He's keeping up with stuff as much as he can for one person. Live now, if you guys still want to actually, this was, what, 4 hours ago? Okay. I'm going to put this link in the chat in case you guys are very interested in this. 2 spacewalkers ventured outside the space station to work on installing a second commercial crew docking port to the orbiting outpost in a planned 6.5-hour spacewalk. Politics is way more interesting over there. You can't find any truthful news here in Australia. Well, I do have to dig and you know, in order to find things that are close enough to the source for me to be happy with. The way I do a lot of my news is I look up 2 or 3 different sources, compare them, make sure that the facts and the information are congruent across all the sources. I pull those sources out, and for the main current events section, that's what I report. Just the facts that I have found that, you know, corroborate across sources. So that's pretty much the way I function when I do my news. Because I don't like injecting, you know, my opinion into it. It's not my opinion if I'm reporting the news. It's the news. It's the way it is. We're making sure that the country is ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. Today we've allocated an extra £9 million for councils with major ports and local resilience forums across England. So now there's a total of £77 million. So yeah, they got their contingency plan together. Ministry stuff, yeah, to get up. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. It's getting that way no matter where you go in the United States, because there's, especially in the U.S. and around the world, where the regressive way of thinking, or the regressive ideology is sinking in, there's a lot of critical thinking that is lacking. And when critical thinking is lacking, objectivity suffers. When objectivity suffers, you get reporting from mainstream media and mainstream news sources that is way skewed more often to the left than it is to the right. So, and it's your job as a citizen that, you know, we have to take on that extra hat or extra mantle to do the extra digging, to ask the questions that we need to ask, to actually get the information that we're looking for, without all the slant, without all the rhetoric, or dare I say, without all the propaganda they're trying to slip into their pieces. Oftentimes I find when I'm looking for information that something that is supposed to be reporting on an event has a lot of opinion in it. Sort of like they snuck an op-ed piece into an actual news report. And I don't like that. I've always been of the mind that if you're going to report the news, be objective, give the facts, show the facts and your sources from the facts, and let everybody draw their own conclusions as to what happened and the way that they should think should be in their own agency. It's not my job to tell you what to think or how to think. It's my job to present to you the information and let you draw your own conclusions. I've always been that way. UK Parliament. It's been exactly 2 years since Big Ben chimed for the last time, until 2021, while essential conservation work is carried out. Conservation work. Now I can't read. Conservation work is carried out. 2 years to go until one of the world's best loved landmarks starts its daily chime again. Let's see what we've got here. on to... Did you know the B-2 bomber recently had the 30th anniversary of its first flight? Read about an event hosted at Northrop Grumman in dvidshub.net. So we're going to click on this and see if there's actually any dialogue to go with this. Yep, marks the anniversary of the third flight. 30 years ago, on July 17th, 1989, an oddly shaped and dark-colored new plane took to the sky for the first time at the legendary... Oh, I gotta fix the window. You guys can't see the print. Oh, there we go. Scoot it over a little. That should be good enough. You guys can see it. It's still a little small. I'll probably make it a little bit bigger. Does it still fit? Now I have to fix it again. I never know which way to fix this. Never know which way to fix this. All right, there we go. All right, you have a good day, Atomic. You have yourself a good day. All right. That plane, the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, went on to join the U.S. Air Force's fleet and has been a staple of the nation's global power dominance ever since. The B-2's manufacturer, Northrop Grumman, hosted an event to mark the B-2's 30th anniversary of its first flight at an event at Plant 42, August 20th. Hundreds of employees, local leaders, and military guests were on hand on the event, which included Major General James Dawkins, 8th Air Force, and Joint Global Strike Operations Commander. Operation Allied Force kicked off in 1999 when the B-2 took to the sky that spring, Dawkins said. The B-2 was tasked to strike Serbian integrated Air Force defense systems, military airfields, command and control nodes, munitions storage facilities, and other high-value targets in the country. The airstrikes in that conflict saw the B-2 in its first combat operations. The B-2's success and its advanced technology continued on to Operation Enduring Freedom, Dawkins said. The B-2s were the first to respond to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Their targets were Taliban-controlled airfields, surface-to-air missile systems, and Al-Qaeda terrorist training camps, he said. Dawkins flew the Spirit of Pennsylvania B-2 into combat and took the time to thank those at the event who were responsible for making his mission a success. Again, the B-2 showed its combat capability. Each of these conflicts demonstrated the reality of the lethal force of the munitions the B-2 carried. And I just lost my place. Yay! All right, he said, it is important to note that in between of these combat operations, wow, his English there is messed up. Let me try that again. It is important to note that in between of these, combat operations, the Air Force and Northrop Grumman team were hard at work at improving both the lethality of the weapon system and just as important as sustainability and maintainability. So there you go. The B-2 turns 30. And our picture of the morning comes to us from Channel Islands National Park, California. So there we are. Beautiful sunrise or sunset picture there. And that's another video down. If you liked it, there's this. If you didn't like it, there's that. There's a subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. If you're not sure, there's more content you can watch before you make that all-powerful decision of clicking the red bell and making it go dark. There's also a bell that's just about as fickle as a pregnant woman in a candy aisle when she's got a craving or she's hungry. And because it only works whenever it feels like it. But the bell's there. In the description below is all the ways that you can support this channel, as well as links to blogs and other channels and so on and so forth. So, until next time, guys, take care of yourselves.